What's going on, guys? So today's a very exciting day in my life because it's day one of marketing my new software company. And in this video, guys, I'm going to break down the exact blueprint that I'm going to be using to scale Socialwolf to $10 million. And before I get into that, let me just break down what Socialwolf is. So for content creators that post on multiple social media platforms, Socialwolf allows you to connect all of your socials and upload to all of your social media platforms at the same time, saving you tons of hours a day and giving you in-depth analytics on your social platforms to help you become a better content creator. Those are just the main tools, and there's a whole bunch of other features, but that is what Socialwolf does. Now, before we get into this breakdown of the phases that we're going to be using to actually make this a reality, I want to break down phase 0. So phase 0 is actually just identifying the product market fit and doing that product research. And so I want to take a step back before we move forward and just talk about myself personally. I've done content production for about 8 years now. I've built e-commerce brands, NFT projects. I ran my own gym in Miami, and all of these different experiences allowed me to say I have a pretty good understanding of social media marketing in a whole bunch of different landscapes. And so the product market fit for me to sell Socialwolf is just a perfect fit. Now, the research I went into Socialwolf is also very exciting because the two competitors that I identified are both in the billion of dollars in revenue, and they're both more expensive than what we're offering. And so in terms of product market fit and the research, I knew that I was going to go ahead with Socialwolf because it fits not just how I'm going to do the marketing, but we can actually out-compete the competitors. And so that is what I identified before actually developing the software. Now, after we develop the software, guys, phase 1 hands down is the most important thing when it comes to producing anything, not just software, but running your own e-commerce brand or any type of product you want to sell on the internet. And that is phase 1 of organic marketing. Now there's a whole list of ways that you can do marketing, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing organic marketing as the number one funnel to produce customers. So the game plan that I run with all of my different businesses and all of the different clients that I coach is I tell them to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because you have this product, right? And in this example, it's a product that helps content creators, brands, and agencies scale their socials. And so that is the idea and the concept that'll get people to purchase the product. But I don't know what script is going to actually convert into viral views and funnel people into my software. So this is where we deploy throw shit at the wall. And what we're doing is we're mass producing short form video content specifically. I'm not producing long form YouTube videos. I'm not producing a bunch of tweets or Twitter threads. I'm not doing image carousel posts yet. I'm only focused on short form video. And that's because short form video goes everywhere. It can go on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, everywhere. And so this is the initial format that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be actually spending my own time here, right? So I'm already running a no-code academy. I'm running a YouTube channel, but I know that I have to do phase 1 myself because once I identify what is working, once I identify the scripts that are converting and going viral, then I can outsource those scripts to any content creator on the planet. It doesn't even have to be a massive influencer because I spent the time to actually determine what scripts are working. And so in my opinion, a winning script is way more valuable than a massive influencer, because the massive influencer doesn't give a fuck about your company or your software. But a small micro influencer that is, interested in getting a couple of dollars is going to read your script word for word, and you know that that script is already working. So that's why we do phase 1, throw shit at the wall, organic marketing. And this has worked not just for the software company, but for everything else that I've done in my life. So like when I came out with my gym, this is what I did. When I came out with my NFT projects, this is what I did. When I started my YouTube channel, this is what I did to learn what YouTube videos are working. So once we figure out phase 1, which I think will take a couple of weeks, we'll then come and make another video moving on to phase 2. But let's just talk about what phase 2 is. So phase 2 actually has 2 different paths that we take simultaneously. And these paths both open up once we pass 5,000 in MRR, which is why I think it'll take us a couple of weeks, because I think a couple of weeks of me doing marketing will get us to 5,000 MRR. Once that happens, guys, we're going to immediately get into influencer marketing, because at this stage, guys, I am now sitting on so many different pieces of content scripts that I can just dish out to these influencers. And so instead of telling you what type of scripts I'm going to be producing, because you'll see that, I'm actually going to tell you what type of content creators I'm going to be looking for. So the content creators I'm looking for are content coaches that are helping creators or beginners get started with social media, multi-platform creators that upload on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, hyper micro UGC creators that I can give scripts for very cheap, agency owners, brand operators, and content beginners. These are my 6 ideal content creators that I want to hire to actually produce content for Socialwolf. Now, these posts are not going to be on the Socialwolf social media accounts. These are going to be on these influencers' own social media profiles. And the reason why we want something like a content coach, for example, is because they have a lot of authority in their space. And their space is helping creators grow on social media. What does Socialwolf do? It helps creators grow on social media. And so when we have that perfect fit, we know that having a content coach produce content for our software is going to do very well, especially if I'm giving them the winning script. And so I hope you guys are starting to see how phase 1 is flowing into phase 2 quite well. Now, another thing about phase 2 here, guys, is that for us to become a $10 to $100 million company, we need to actually get the content beginners. Because when people first start out, we need to make it a habitual thing to use Socialwolf to upload their content. Me personally, even after producing the app myself, I had to make it a habit to use Socialwolf to upload content because it is so ingrained into my own workflow to not use Socialwolf when uploading content. And so if we can then grab the beginner markets, so the people that have never produced content, and we can get them to start using Socialwolf at the beginning, then we are going to absolutely crush everyone. And this is why I think I'm literally on the precipice of like hundreds of millions of dollars, but this goal here is to just get to $10 million. And so that's phase 2.1, but phase 2.2 is the beautiful world of AI influencer marketing. Now, this is where things kind of just become an absolute cheat code because this checks off a couple of boxes while saving us thousands of dollars in costs. So the first thing, right, is using the same winning scripts from phase 1, we're going to use in phase 2.2 with these AI influencers. But the beautiful thing about these AI influencers is they're going to be uploading on Socialwolf's social media profiles, not on their own social media profiles because these AI influencers don't exist. So that's really cool because now we can start developing a really solid social profile for Socialwolf that people can actually like read from and listen to and learn from. And the beautiful thing about this is that we can then use these AI influencers to hit every single demographic that's humanly possible. We can have an Asian lady, an Asian man, a white lady, a gay woman, a trans man, a trans woman, so on and so forth. And so this is going to allow us to quite literally hit every demographic without actually having to hire any UGC creators to produce content for the Socialwolf media pages. And so a combination of using influencer marketing and AI influencer marketing, along with my personal brand marketing, which we identified in phase 1, is the nucleus to really take this thing to like 100K MRR is where we're kind of projecting things. But what you guys are seeing right here is the episode before we actually entered into phase 1. So the episode after this is when we're about to enter into phase 2. But next after phase 2 is actually onboarding 2 members onto the team. And I want to explain why this is now the most important thing once we reach phase 3. Now, as some of you may know or some of you don't know, I run a no-code academy, I run a YouTube channel, and I also developed Socialwolf by myself. So I spent 70 days, like literally just sitting here and developing a software project that I think is going to absolutely crush it. But where is the negative in that? The negative is that I had to spend all of my fucking time developing the software, and that resulted in my no-code academy plateauing in size over that period of time. And so I wasn't able to continue the momentum of my business because I had to stop operations to actually develop something that will continue to accelerate the momentum of my business. So in the macro, it was the right decision, but in the micro, it really, really hurt me. And so I never want to go through that again. And so once we reach the 10K to 15K MRR range, we're going to onboard 2 full stack members. The first one is going to be a full stack developer who's going to handle any errors that we may run into, is going to work on the mobile app of Socialwolf, and most importantly, it's going to free up my time. Because the thing that I'm scared of right now is, let's say, we start posting content and it goes viral, all of a sudden we have 1,000 customers and the entire app breaks. Well, now I have to spend all of my time fixing the app as well. And I'm only one person, and I know that that's not going to be feasible. And so when we reach that level of scale, I'm going to have to hire a developer. Now, the second thing that we're going to have to bring on is an influencer relations manager. Because once again, I'm going to want all of these different influencers to produce content for the brand, but I'm only one person and I can't use my time on such a low leverage activity as talking to influencers. And so that would be the other, role that we would be filling out. And honestly, from that point on, we will be lean enough and strong enough to really scale this thing to the moon. And so from there, guys, the goal would then be to raise capital and scale to 100K MRR. And I can imagine that video is going to be very exciting, because we can be traveling all across the States, all across Canada, to actually be meeting with investors and people that actually want to put a ton of money into the company. Now, we have raised a little bit of capital, but at this stage, we would be talking about millions and millions of dollars in capital raise. And so that would be phase 4. And guys, phase 5 would be to sell the company for the goal of this entire video series, which is bringing Socialwolf to $10 million. So that is the entire marketing breakdown, the entire, full stack analysis of how I want to do my marketing. Obviously, we can break down a little bit more with like email outreach, SMS bumps, and, retaining customers and all of that fun stuff. But I feel like that's something that we can talk about in future episodes. In this episode, I really just laid out the exact blueprint that I'm going to be using. And so from here on out, guys, you guys can now see whether or not this works out. See you guys on the next one.